All right. Hey guys. Sorry, I was running just a minute late. I was just in the middle of typing something and looked down. I'm like, oh, it's 10:30. Sorry. So I knew it was coming up. It just came up a little faster than I thought. So let's start really quick by talking about equities because I think that's the most important thing right now. It's not the end all be all, but obviously this is one thing that, in my opinion, is got the market at least thinking about what's happening. And I got to start off by saying that the Nasdaq continues to be the weak link, which makes sense. The reason why it makes sense is because if you look at the Nasdaq 100, and we're going to pull up the composite too, but you see the Nasdaq is outside of the ascending wedge, and we've continued outside the ascending wedge. So actually, when you're talking about the Nasdaq 100, what I really want to be notified is when we're back down at this support right here, because if we break into new lows and we start trading below this support, then we're talking, move back down towards 12,400, 12,000. But the question is, well, what does that do to the rest of the market? Because then you have the S&P, which, we've got this consolidation in this, I'm going to go ahead and delete this really quick. I think I can get rid of that right now. For now. Okay. We have this, I think better viewed would be like this. Let's make this blue. The pen is blue. The goddamn pen is blue. You ever see that movie? Do you guys ever see that? You know what I'm even talking about? The pen is blue. You guys don't know? No? It's one of the funniest movies ever, I think. Oh gosh. Okay. Does anybody know who Jim Carrey is? If you know who Jim Carrey is, go watch the movie Liar Liar. It's so ridiculously funny. It's, slapstick funny. Anyway, it's definitely entertaining. But so I just get a kick out. I think it's funny, but then again, that doesn't mean you're going to think it's funny. Anyway, all right. So this is what I'm, concerned with, because if the Nasdaq comes down, then it's going to eventually, bring down the S&P, and then we're going to start, challenging some of the support down here, which, let me go ahead and add. It's already, there's an alert there. And then, you look at the Dow, which is just kind of holding up frustratingly. Craig asks, is it the mask funny? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Absolutely. It's actually, if I had to say, it's probably my favorite Jim Carrey slapstick comedy movie of that era. Anyway. So the Dow, then you'd have to look at the Dow, which might, start to challenge the lows from the other day. But I think we've got to just pay really close attention in the Nasdaq because it's so weak. Let's look at the Russell as well, because the Russell, it's still holding up. I think it's this is one of the stronger markets. But yeah, you got to pay attention to the IWM, and let's look at the Nasdaq Composite. Let's see if we can pull that up really quick. Composite. This is there we go. So remember, we're looking at, I guess it is on here, isn't it? Yeah. So, we're looking at the Nasdaq Composite here. So it's like, yeah, the composite itself, this is a daily, no, this is a 4-hour chart. Let's go to the daily chart. Okay. So here's the daily chart. Remember, it's different than the Nasdaq 100. It's like looking at the S&P and then looking at the Dow. You know what I'm saying? So, look at the composite. I would venture to guess that today's lows are probably fairly important. right? So if the Nasdaq Composite breaks through, that's 13,050. So if we break through 13,000 in the Nasdaq, that's going to be gnarly. That's going to be pretty gross. Okay, so then you know, as FX traders, what's the response? Well, one of the things that's a little bit stronger than I had expected. Now, let me take that back. In the chat room, if you guys aren't in the chat room, I was like, look, I'm long dollar max, and you know, most people know that. It's had a 38, not even a 38% retracement, so it's definitely shallow retracements, which tell me, suggests that we're going a lot higher. You know, we break through this 200-day moving average and we're gone. You know, we're going to be trading up at, you know, the mid 20s. That has to coincide. I can't imagine it doing it without it, but it's got to coincide with equities coming down, like broad markets, not just the Nasdaq. It's got to be broad markets. So, but you look at the dollar Mexican peso, and it is strong. And I was sitting there in the chat room saying, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we come down here. I'm like, look, I'm long dollar Mex, but it might be a good short up at these levels. And we were trading at like, you know, 2089 or something, because what I was thinking is that we were going to do some sort of you know, like a little head and shoulder pattern. You know, I thought we'd do something like this, right? But we didn't. And you know, so now we're, you know, cruising back up towards our highs, and I have to say that, you know, if stocks come down, the dollar Mexican peso has got to be the first on your list of things to go higher. You know, Steph asked about the next stop for Looney before OPEC. You know, the thing about crude is it's gone really, really far, and considering the market is anticipating all the cuts from it coming from OPEC, I would venture to guess that that's the predominant reason for the, you know, 40, well, the reflation trade too, and commodities and inflation, all that. But one of the reasons why we've catapulted from the mid 40s to where we're currently at in the mid 60s or small or you know, low 60s is because of all that. So I basically what I'm saying is I think crude oil is near a top. Whether this is the top or not, or maybe it's, you know, it's up here at 66, you know, that means that the dollar Canadian, I think, is, you know, near its lows. So the one thing I like about the dollar Canadian right now is that we are trying to forge out that right hand shoulder of the inverted head and shoulder patterns. So what I think, like I've been writing in the analysis, the daily analysis in ForexAnalytix, and remember, my analysis is always the basic technical analysis at the end of the day, and then I do some of the you know, intraday stuff. You know, like this is you know, the Asian sessions, Poly a lot of the times. Most of the time I put in some of it too, and Amanda will put in like this analysis here, and then, but the end of the day, right here, key resistance at 127 to 127.40. Okay, that's wedge resistance. That's critical. So we're trying to develop this inverted head and shoulder pattern. So if we can get back towards 127, like by tomorrow, if that OPEC meeting is, you know, a dud and crude oil prices come down as a result, then I think that might be the catalyst that drives us above 127.50. So I guess in other words, I think the dollar Canadian around this 126, maybe down to 125.75 is going to be very well supported. And the one thing that can put us back at 127 is crude rolling over. Excuse me 1 second, guys. Okay, so anyway, this is that's what I see. I think that this move here at the lows here, the head, if you will, was the bottom of the wedge. It was the false breakdown, right? It was a false breakdown, and we should be very well supported now. And then for eventual move above 127, and hopefully if we break above 127.50, then we're trading back around 130. So I hope that helps. What else did I want to look at today? Oh, let's just take a look at yields, just because the yield or the bond market is one of the driving factors, in my opinion, that's moving stocks lower. So watch yields. I mean, people believe that this 150 level in the 10-year is going to hold, and it may, but if we start breaking the highs from last week, like right here around 156, or that's probably gonna create a little bit of ruckus in the equity markets. That's what I would think. Oh, another currency that's kind of weak right at the moment, Kiwi. I mean, I'm looking at the Aussie, obviously, but the Kiwi is pretty weak here, and this is a daily uptrend line. This is an hourly chart, so that's from November, beginning of November, right? So just watch the Kiwi. It's hard for me to just say it's probably a great short right here, but it is weak. So if we break down, we break down below, like, let's say the 72 cent level, or maybe even 72.10, like right around here, then you got to start thinking that the Kiwis, stick a fork in it. It might be done. All right, guys. Well, hey, I want to thank you all for your support. I'm hoping that we see a little bit more volatility going into the end of the day, because Europe's gone home. Europe's done for the day. I think North Americans like to let Europeans believe that there's nothing else to do and to go enjoy your evening, and then they like to move the markets after that. So we might get some late day activity today. All right, guys, have a great one, and thank you all so much for your support. I appreciate it. I'll catch you tomorrow morning on the Face webinar.